Alright, man, Torture Talk. Like, share, subscribe to the page. Hit the thumbs up button if you like the content. So today, I'm going to be reacting to a breakdown of 616 in LA. Now, I did my own version of the breakdown 616 LA, but apparently this guy, he goes much more deeper and he reveals much more things that I didn't know. And I don't know everything, and I'm trying to learn everything, and I'm trying to know everything. I know a lot about hip hop, I will say that, but I don't know everything about people's beef and stuff like that. But enough of that. We're going to react to it. This is a pretty long video, and I'm going to watch the whole thing. If you want to see the real video without my commentary, then the links will be in the description. I will link his join in there. I ain't going to do that to him. And yeah, he's a much bigger channel than mine. I'm trying to be like him, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get up there. But today I'm trying to go with the King Tut look, with the blue Puma hat, you know what I'm saying? With the Burger King crown. I had to cover the Burger King crown up. But you know what I'm saying? It wouldn't fit on my big ass head because that joint was too big, so I had to wrap it around the hat, make it look some type of decent. But it came out fire though. I ain't gonna lie, it do look kind of fire. But look, man. So we're gonna get right into this video. Hey man, before I get into that, make sure you like, share, subscribe. I work real hard over here for your subscription. If you haven't subscribed, please consider. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't mean it to be a long intro, but anyway, this video is long, so I just want to let y'all know, stick with me all the way through. I'm gonna be stopping it. You know, I ain't gonna stop it too much because it's pretty long, and I'm be going through it. So let's get to it.
All right, guys, I've been eagerly chipping away at the breakdowns for all the recent diss tracks that we got, and today we're looking at 616 in LA. Now, if you haven't watched my other breakdowns on these records, please make sure to do that, as it should offer some good insight into where we're at in the beef up to this point. And I promised my nephew I'd do this, so huge shout out to Marty. Marty wants to be a YouTuber someday, and if he wants to do it, he can do it. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it, okay, buddy?
Right,
so right off rip, it was on Euphoria where Kendrick alluded to going back-to-back on Drake, and that's exactly what he did on this record, releasing 616 in LA just 3 days later.
Back to back, I like that record. I'm gonna get back to that for the record.
And this was something that I predicted over a month ago before any of the disses dropped, when all we had was the Like That record. I think Kendrick's gonna use Drake's own angle against him, and he'll probably even reference back to back while he does it. So before we even begin, we have to take a...
Yeah. What, you a psychic nigga? That was pretty dope that you predicted that. I ain't gonna lie, that was kind of fire.
Close look at the title of the track, as there's several meanings. First and foremost, the one that will jump out to any Drake fan is Kendrick's usage of the timestamp format. Drake is synonymous with timestamp titles, and it's on these records where he gets super busy with the pen. Whenever someone tries to tell me that Drake can't rap, I'll always tell them check out one of those records, then tell me that he can't rap. So this was a very strategic and petty angle from Kendrick as he attempts to taint Drake's long-running series. Even since this track dropped, we've seen multiple people claim that Kendrick's version of the timestamp was way better than any of Drake's, and this very well could have been Kendrick's goal. And let's be realistic, Drake still has by far the best timestamp records. Like, he still lays claim to that. Now, as far as the other meanings behind...
I don't know about that. I don't know. I think that 616 in LA is better than all Drake timestamp records for one reason. It's put together as a song. I mean, you talking rapping wise, okay, cool, whatever. But it's a better song than all of them. Because, truth be told, no one remembers those songs. Even though they're fire. Like, don't get me wrong. All of them are fire, but nobody remembers them. Like, nobody remembers a lot of them bars from it. But let's keep it going.
In this title, there are several theories bouncing around, but I'm going to give you guys the most significant meaning and truly break down why that is. It was on June 16th, 2011 that Kendrick met Drake for the very first time. In a Double XL magazine, Kendrick described the meeting saying, I did a show in Toronto on June 16th, my first show in Toronto. I think it was the same night we were going back to the hotel and he hit my phone. I guess he got the word that I was in town, he was there for the night working on the album, and he said he wanted to meet up. We met up, chilled out, and got the vibe. Now remember, the Buried Alive track that Kendrick did for Drake was based on this moment when they first met. On Buried Alive, Kendrick reflects on this meeting with Drake, mentioning how Drake introduced him to the glitz and glamour of celebrity life. Kendrick described being picked up in a Maybach by Drake and states that Drake brought him to a fancy place to eat where he talked to Kendrick about women and the industry. However, on the track, Kendrick truly struggles with the idea of becoming famous as he's afraid it will change him for the worse, but he also realizes that this type of lifestyle comes with the territory. Now, what's extremely critical to point out is how Kendrick ends off the track.
The reason why the highlight was when he said you belong to the people when you outside.
So he clearly says that's what he said. Now, who is he? Who's he talking about?
So dig a shovel full of money, full of power, full of pussy, full of fame, and bury yourself alive. Then I died.
What most people fail to realize is that these last few lines is not Kendrick speaking to himself, but Drake having a conversation with Kendrick. And this is the part that's really important. When asked by Double XL to explain the meaning of why the track ended like this, Kendrick said the following. At the end of the verse, that's him in the conversation. Him telling me that you must accept this lifestyle and it's up to you how far you're going to go with it or how much you're going to let in. I then acknowledge what he's saying when I say, then I died, which leaves it hanging on the audience trying to figure out where I would go with it. Will I let it taint me or destroy me? Or will I know how to deal with it? So I mean, it's on this night, June 16th, where Drake is giving Kendrick a pep talk about fame, the industry, how to deal with it. This Buried Alive interlude is important because Drake gives Kendrick a choice. He tells him that fame will come and that it's up to him on how he deals with it. But the thing is, Kendrick wasn't the only person who needed to make this choice. This whole thing rings true for Drake as well because Drake had the exact same choice to make, and after Take Care, his fame exploded and he was completely consumed by it. Drake's lifestyle in 2024 isn't that much different from the lifestyle that he showed Kendrick back in 2011. Drake is still living that same old rapper's life, it's just on a far bigger scale. Now in the case...
Oh, that's facts. That's facts. And everything he said was true. I'm not going to sit here and say that I believe Kendrick is a prophet, but I do believe that Kendrick has a very good foresight. And I think that he knew that this was going to happen. And Kendrick is very, very meticulous about how he takes steps on doing things. Everything has a point. And I knew 616 was deep, but this goes even deeper. This is crazy. This is crazy.
To Kendrick, he ended off the record making us wonder which way he'd go with it, and today we now know what choice he made. Unlike Drake, Kendrick did not get buried by the temptations of money, power, pussy, and fame. Both artists took an entirely different route, and the Buried Alive interlude is important because it acts as a full circle moment. By Kendrick using the date June 16th in the title, Drake knows exactly what he's referring to, and bringing this up 13 years later is extremely powerful. Kendrick proved to have the strength to resist the temptations that Drake warned him about, and Drake himself was weak and couldn't do the same. Now I gotta say,
damn, that's crazy. That's crazy. So him and Drake had a conversation on 6/16, 13 years ago, and Drake basically told him, don't fall for the temptation of this industry because it will get you. And Kendrick, let's just say, he took Drake's advice, but Drake didn't take his own advice. But I'm thinking that there's a reason why Drake probably told him that, because I'm thinking that Drake didn't want him to be direct competition. So Drake basically told him, don't fall for this, because if he did, he would have been direct competition. Drake ain't stupid either. I just want y'all to understand. He's very intelligent. But I just think Kendrick is just 10 steps ahead of him all the time.
Drake flips this narrative really well on Family Matters, but that one's coming up next. So when we get a track like Euphoria, all these years later, the shit that he's saying to Drake is all the more impactful.
I'm allergic to the lame shit, only you like being famous.
Fans might take lines like this one lightly, but it holds a lot of depth because Kendrick knows that when he first met Drake, Drake had plans of keeping a level head, as that's what their conversation was about. This is only further confirmed in the Double XL interview when he talks about Drake and the concept of the Buried Alive track. I felt like he was in a space now where vanity's everywhere, and he had his hands on every bit of it, and he's trying to escape that. But what's clear today is Drake lost this fight. I mean, he didn't escape it at all.
It's a 2004 Acura TSX. It's a nice first car for like a teenager, I guess, as opposed to a Mercedes or BMW. I think that's pretentious, personally.
And this is exactly why Kendrick uses June 16th in the title and why it's so significant. It's by far the most significant use of the title. 616, the day that they first met, the first collaboration they did, Drake's sophomore album, an entire record was made about that moment. Now we're 13 years later, and it's coming up again. And like I said, Drake knew exactly what he was doing with this title, because just days after 616 in LA dropped, Drake posted a Buried Alive Part 2 parody song where he mocks Kendrick and flips the narrative again.
I'm serious.
Oh, now on digital.
If you in a pine box, that's how you felt in 2011 while we wasting time. Dreams come true, Crody, this is where you die.
Let's fucking go. Come on, hit the like button. However, 616 in LA could possibly be in reference to allegations of Drake being involved with younger women. As you guys know...
And you see how, like, these dudes... This is what I want y'all to understand about Drake and Kendrick. Drake and Kendrick is... They're battling, but this is mental warfare at its finest, because both of them know exactly what they're talking about. So when people say that Drake may have made up some things, I can understand, because there's no evidence of any of this stuff. So I can understand why people would say that. But at the same time, you got to think about it. Drake knows things about Kendrick, and Kendrick knows things about Drake. It's just these dudes are... It's a spiritual... I'm gonna say spiritual. This is a complete mind game that they're playing with each other. This is like next level chess that they're playing. This is crazy. It's crazy. Everything he just revealed about Family Matters, on the song that was on Instagram, tie into that Buried Alive, because Kendrick said something about, man, this shit is crazy, man. This is crazy.
Oh, Drake goes by the Six God, and 16-year-old girls for him might just be prime real estate. That is the allegations. Allegations. Now, this is only further supported when we look at a young woman by the name of Bella Harris. Bella is an LA-based model who, even at the age of 13, stood at a height of 5'10", and she skipped the teen division of modeling and moved directly up to the women's division. So get this, at the age of 13, this child is being like categorized and showcased as a full-grown woman.
When I was about 13, I was really tall. I was like 5'9", and everyone's like, oh my God, how old are you? I'm 12 and 13.
And back in 2018, the internet went crazy as Drake was spotted with a then 18-year-old Bella taking pictures that resemble that of a happy couple. This shit feels like teenage fever. However, Drake has ties with Bella that dates back to 2016, and given Kendrick's angle throughout this beef, I think this is what he's talking about. This is a picture of Drake and Bella at Rihanna's Anti-World Tour. As you can see, the date of this photo is May 5th, 2016, and when we look at Rihanna's tour history, she was indeed in LA for that date. Then when we look at the fact that Bella had literally just turned 16, just 1 month before this photo was taken, it's all the more compelling. 616 in LA, Drake the Sixth God was indeed with a 16-year-old girl in LA. And I mean, Kendrick said he had fun.
Get the fuck out. Nah, bro. Nah, bro. Nah, bro. Nah, bro. Nah, bro. Bro, I gotta give this nigga props. That's some fucking journalism right there. That's some journalism right there. Oh my God, bro. You just got my subscription, bro. Yo, man. That was... What? What the fuck? Yo. That's crazy. This is what I mean by... Man, Drake, bro. Just chill, bro. Just do something different. Because this nigga Kendrick, bro. Oh, my God.
5 more diss tracks in stock. And I believe him. I think he was about to get far deeper into this shit, had this thing kept going. Furthermore, Kendrick dropped the record at 6:16 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 6:16 in LA. Then we got the fact that June 16th is Tupac's birthday, and considering that we've seen a few references to Pac in this beef already, this one seems to make sense.
Kendrick, we need ya.
Next, June 16th is Father's Day, and we have seen a slew of references with respect to Drake and being a shitty dad, and also jabs towards the fact that Drake's own father was absent.
You don't know nothing about that.
And of course, Drake also executive produced the hit show Euphoria, and the first episode of that show aired on June 16th. And that's as far as I'm going to go with the title. There's a lot of theories out there, but these are the ones that make sense to me. With all that said, let's move on to the artwork, which is simply a cropped out version of the artwork that we would see on Meet the Grams, where Kendrick allegedly had an inside mole collecting Drake's personal items and feeding him information. And this whole thing with the artwork and these items, like, this turned into this really grew legs after. It turned into this whole other conversation. So we've got the title, we've got the artwork, now let's move to the beat selection. First and foremost, the track is co-produced by Jack Antonoff, who is a pop producer most known for his work with Taylor Swift. This is likely a troll on Drake's previous claims on Taylor Made, where he insinuated that Taylor Swift had all this power over Kendrick. Now, what I feel Kendrick is really trying to drive home here by using this producer is that just like the culture of hip-hop, even high-level people within the industry itself do not like Drake and are more than happy to help bring him down. I think Kendrick's just leaning.
I said that on my last video. That's 100% facts. People just want him out of here. I don't know. I don't know if it's he's just a dirty person. I don't know. But people really don't like Drake. And I'm not buying a theory of just he's on top so much that people want to get him out of here. It has to be more than that.
Into it. Like, yeah, I am friends with Taylor and she's co-signing this diss. She doesn't like you. Her producer doesn't like you. Nobody likes you. Like, this is a tailor-made diss for you. The instrumental samples Al Green's song What a Wonderful Thing Love Is, and Drake's Uncle Teeny Hodges is credited as playing guitar on that record. However, what makes it even more impressive is the fact that Kendrick sampled Teddy Pendergrass on Euphoria, and now he's sampling Al Green, and they both had an album together called Back to Back Hits, feeding even more into Kendrick's claims that he was going back to back on Drake. And people say that Kendrick fans are reaching all the time, but this is clearly thought out.
Yeah, like, I don't see how people think that that's a reach. How's that a reach? Bro, all this stuff. This is what y'all don't understand. If you listen to Overly Dedicated, to Section 80 to a Good Kid, Mad City, you know that Kendrick thinks things out. I just want y'all to understand that. This is not normal. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, these records were very, very well planned. With all that said, we can now finally get into the lyrics of the song. Actually, I'm just kidding. No lyrics yet, because did you hear that noise? Like, what in the fuck is that? People were claiming that this sound was from the V12 liposuction machine, which was something that Kendrick referenced on Euphoria, but when you really listen to that machine in action, it doesn't sound like this at all. And the main reason why this video took so long is because I got extremely subject stuck on finding out what the sound was. First, I thought that it could be a money counter. I thought maybe it's a lie detector test. Then I was thinking it was one of those old 16 mil projectors. Then I was thinking maybe it could be a life support machine. I was manipulating an equalizer, changing the pitch, adding plugins, still couldn't narrow it down. And if it wasn't for my girlfriend, I would probably still be doing it right now because she had to tell me, look, Matt, it's time to move on. It drove me crazy because there's no way that Kendrick's looping that sound for as long as he did. And it means nothing. Like, it means something. And Drake's probably the only one who's going to pick up on it. However, something I do feel fairly confident about is that if you really listen to the beat closely, Kendrick chooses to chop up the Al Green sample and loops it so that it sounds like he's saying, "Boy Wonder." Now, you gotta remember, this track is in response to the Push-Ups record, where Drake sampled the drop from Who Kid. And as we know now, this drop turned out to have a hidden message that flew over all of our heads, as Drake will later announce that Kendrick's child might not be his.
I heard that one of them little kids might be day free.
And for that reason, I feel like it's on this track where Kendrick is using one of Drake's close producers to also send some sort of message. By using this little sample, I feel like Kendrick is trying to get inside Drake's head to cast doubt on who the mole could be in his camp. Drake commonly refers to...
That's a hard one. I don't know about that because I didn't think of that. Again, we talking like high level mind games, chess, but I don't know about that one. But that's a good one. That's a good one.
Himself as the boy, and in this case, I think Kendrick is asking Drake to think. Kendrick got the boy wondering, like, I wonder who's leaking all my info. I wonder who's the mole. Like, boy, I wonder who's doing all this shit.
There's survival.
It's Prime. Sign up to be a member if you want free shipping.
So right off rip, Kendrick references Drake's track Survival. Now, Survival came at a time when Drake was fresh off his loss from Pusha T, and he was still heavily beefing with Pusha and Kanye at this time. As you guys remember, Drake allegedly had a career-ending red button diss for Pusha and Kanye, but he held it back, and it's on the Survival track where he appears to make mention to wanting to drop it.
I was about to, man, I thought about it. It's unsettling to talk about it.
So Drake leaves a blank in this record, and it's up to the listener to interpret what this could mean. But the way that I see it, he was either talking about putting a hit on Pusha and Kanye, or he just really wanted to drop that track, but it was so scathing that it was unsettling for him to even think about where he was about to go with it.
Simply because it crossed the line of music.
Either way, the common denominator...
Yeah. There's a lot of things that people are alleging that Drake has ties to. One of them is the deleting of Extortion. And I know I seen a girl on TikTok. She said, why is people saying this? This is not true. But yeah, it has some type of validity because I believe that they are questioning people about it, or they did question people about it. And I believe the dudes who did it, I believe one of them said that Drake had something to do with it. Drake denied it, of course, but yeah. And if you look into the history of X and Drake, you can see why. I'm not gonna say you can see why he did what he did, but you can see why his fans, X fans, believe that he had something to do with it.
In this case, with respect to Kendrick, is the fact that Drake is now saying the exact same thing to him. Again, Drake is making claims that he has some lethal secret, threatening to drop it.
This ain't even everything I know, don't wake the demon up.
However, Kendrick's own senses are telling him that Drake is lying, as he claims that he thinks, smells, and sees the bullshit coming, and just like the alleged held back Pusha diss, Kendrick claims he sees no fire. I feel like he's saying, you were bullshitting then, now you're trying to pull the same stunt again, you're full of it.
Off-white Sunseeker had the marina, fuck a phantom.
That's exactly what he's saying, because he's saying it's survival, and he's going back to what Drake said. He had something, and he's saying, I saw somebody lying. I'm like, I don't see no fire. Like, basically, like, bro, you was lying back then, you lying now. Yeah, that was a good point now. I see that.
I like to buy yachts when I get the fever.
So right away here, any seasoned Drake fan will tell you that when it comes to timestamp records, Kendrick is clearly matching Drake's subject matter stylistically.
Is there more to life than going on trips to Dubai? Yachts on the 4th of July, G5 soaring the skies. I roll big body, wide body, Calabasas road winder, sun shining, wax tires.
But here's the thing, I don't think Kendrick's rapping from his own perspective here at all. I think he's rapping as if he were Drake. 13 years ago, Kendrick ended off the Buried Alive verse speaking in the perspective of Drake, and I feel he's now circling back to do that again.
Off-white Sunseeker had the marina, fuck a phantom, I like to buy yachts when I get the fever.
So, rapping in the perspective of Drake, he says Off-white Sunseeker. Now, this would be in reference to one of Drake's close friends, Virgil, who not only had the designer brand Off-White, but also, during a 2022 Louis Vuitton fashion show, the background music for that show was an album by Tyler, the Creator, called Sunseeker.
Come on, bro. This guy, bro. Bro, come on, Kendrick, bro. What the fuck are you doing, bro? This guy, Kendrick, bro. Yo, this guy, Kendrick. Yo, bro. He should get into movies. He really should write movies. This is some deep shit, bro. Kendrick should really write movies. This is wild, bro. Oh my God.
And this was Virgil's baby. This was his show. He directed it. And rest in peace to Virgil. Secondly, a Sunseeker at the marina is in reference to a company called Sunseeker, which is a builder of luxury yachts. But in the next line, things only get deeper. In the second line, Kendrick, from the perspective of Drake, claims that he's tired of buying Phantoms and now likes to buy yachts when he gets the fever. First and foremost, you gotta think about this. Kendrick does not rap about flaunting a lavish lifestyle. He doesn't own a yacht. He's not one for buying yachts. This is just so far outside of the subject matter in his music and what he represents, and that is because he is rapping as if he were Drake. I don't believe that this first chunk of the verse is from Kendrick's perspective at all. A Phantom is a model of car from Rolls-Royce that Drake not only owns multiple variations of, but he's mentioned the Phantom in at least 10 different tracks over the years, maybe even more.
Now I'm in the Rolls with illuminated angel. All my Rolls Royces got a different body. Facts. Bought a white ghost, now shit is getting spooky. Leg hanging out the Phantom.
However, Kendrick is painting it as if the Phantom is no longer scratching the itch for Drake. He needs to go bigger, which is exactly what he did when he rented the Ocean Coral yacht in 2022.
No one will say for sure how much Coral Ocean is worth, but I can tell you it's well north of $100 million.
When Drake rented this yacht, he was going all over the place. Like, he was traveling everywhere. Now, here's where things take a turn and get a lot darker.
Yeah, that's crazy. I kind of felt like Kendrick was rapping from the perspective of Drake, because when he was saying certain things, I guess, you know, when I first did the reaction to it, the review to it, the breakdown, I did believe that he was talking about himself. But then as I went on, I kind of wanted to do another breakdown, but I'm like, it makes no sense to do another breakdown. But I mean, some people do that actually. Some people do like, oh, I was wrong. Let me come back and do this. So let's go.
Up on his previous line about yachts, he claims that he likes to buy yachts when he gets the fever, and the fever is another builder of luxury yachts. Now, this is where it goes left. The Sunseeker has another line of yachts called the Predator, and as we know, Drake has a song called Teenage Fever. Now, where it gets crazy is when we look at Drake's relationship with Millie Bobby Brown. Here she is with Drake on a yacht at the young age of 13. This photo was taken in 2017, shortly after his More Life album dropped, which had the track Teenage Fever, and coincidentally enough, the media was categorizing the More Life album as yacht rap. Now, to put the cherry on top, where was this picture taken? At a marina. Think about it. Sunseeker has a yacht called the Predator. Drake's More Life album was being called yacht rap. It had a track called Teenage Fever. He's with a 13-year-old girl on a yacht, and in this picture, they're at a marina. This is not a coincidence at all. It's not. And Kendrick drops plenty of little clues here just in how he pronounces certain words. And if you pay attention to how he says, I like to buy yachts, he's actually making a reference to Dubai yachts.
Fuck a phantom, I like to buy yachts when I get the fever.
Is there more to life than going on trips to Dubai? Yachts on the 4th of July.
And back in 2015, Drake was very happy to announce that he was on a yacht in Dubai. And if you're familiar with Kendrick's catalog, you'll know that he does shit like this a lot in his writing.
Wine cooler spill on my white t-shirt, the sightseer.
So again, Kendrick is rapping his...
Yeah, man, this is crazy. Unbelievable, man. This guy Kendrick, man. He's on another level, man. This is crazy.
As if he were Drake. Not only does Kendrick hardly ever drink, but when he does drink, it's exclusively wine.
Yeah, I drink a little bit.
What's your preferred beverage?
Just wine. Like Jesus.
What about, have you ever...
Now, there is a huge difference in wine and wine coolers. Most men do not drink wine coolers. I'm talking about fruity drinks with soda and tons of sugar. Kendrick uses little keywords like this to let the listener know that this is not his life we're talking about. Kendrick's not drinking wine coolers, guys. Drake is the guy that loves wine coolers. That's pretty much all he drinks. And what's even more interesting is how wine coolers became his beverage of choice in the first place.
Were you drinking white wine spritzer?
I was. That's my drink of choice. It's basically my mother had a friend who I was always sort of like infatuated with. We used to go to her house and be poolside, and she used to like fill up a white wine spritzer, and she would like casually slide it and leave it there, and then she'd just show up with another one, and I always felt like she was trying to send me a message. So I've kept that a consistent theme. How we get it?
Of course she was trying to send. That's completely inappropriate. How old were you?
I don't know, like 15. But
So I've kept that a consistent theme.
And take a good guess at who else loves wine coolers. Teenage girls, right? And coincidentally enough, with respect to this line, a 17-year-old Madison Beer attended Drake's Memorial Day party in 2016, and she shared the following story.
I met him actually like 2 years ago at his Memorial Day party. The funniest thing about Drake is he drinks wine spritzers, like that's all he drinks. I was like, can we go to the bathroom in your room? I was like, I just really don't want to wait on this line. And he was like, yeah, of course. And this girl had like a vodka cranberry or something in her hand, and she tripped and fell and spilled all over Drake, like all over his like white sweatsuit.
At this point in time, Madison had just turned 17 2 months prior, and this only acts as further proof that Drake seems to allow much younger girls at his parties. Madison claims that Drake loves wine coolers, and then states that someone spilt the drink all over his white outfit. Kendrick seems to have been gathering this information about Drake for a very long time, and on this track, I feel like he's sending subtle reminders that most of us wouldn't catch.
Fun fact though, his
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy.
house that he has a bathtub that is literally the size of this room. And it's gigantic and so dope. I was like sitting in it. I was like, can I just lay here and like chill?
I even found some footage of this exact Drake Memorial Day party where you can tell that the women in attendance, to me, don't really look like grown women. I mean, come on, guys. Like, I'm a fair man, but like, I'm not even assuming here. Like, these are clearly teenagers, right? And when he talks about wine coolers, he's talking about shit like this. Following up on the previous line, Kendrick writes for Drake by calling himself a sightseer, which is exactly what Drake was doing in 2022 when he rented that $50 million yacht. Here he is in St. Bart's at a New Year's Eve yacht party, and what we can easily conclude about this party is that teenage girls were definitely in attendance because there's clear evidence of this happening.
I got back from St. Bart's on Monday. Basically, it was an after party that we got invited to. It was on the Vava. So many cool people there. We talked with Drake for a little bit.
This girl was born on February 5th, 2004, which would mean she was only 17 years old during this yacht party.
I was just in St. Bart's with Drake and that 150 supermodels, innit?
And I think that Kendrick knows something about these parties. I do.
Trifecta, money, morals.
I'm almost guaranteeing. I can't even talk. Shit crazy. I'm almost guaranteeing that he do. If Kendrick knows all this, then you know what time it is. You know what time it is.
Culture, that's my leisure.
In the second line, Kendrick says trifecta, money, morals, and culture, that's my leisure. And again, this has nothing to do with Kendrick as he continues to rap as Drake here. First off, the definition of a trifecta pertains to gambling on horses, where to win, you need to guess the 3 winning horses in order. That means that in the case of this line, money would come first, morals would come second, and culture will be last. This is how we can easily rule Kendrick's own perspective out, as money is definitely not his first priority. Again, it's little things like this where it's clear to me that he's not rapping from his own perspective here.
Really, money really don't make me. I'm learning that now. You know, that's not really my peace of mind, having money.
In the case of the line as it pertains to Drake, money is seemingly at the forefront of everything that he does. He's willing to put aside morals and culture to get it. This explains why morals and culture come in second and third place within the trifecta. At the end of the day, those two things will never really matter for Drake, as money will always dictate his every move regardless. So I mean, when we look at a trifecta by definition, like what it means, the line makes literally no sense pertaining to Kendrick.
My visa, passport tatted, I show hub in Ibiza.
Once again, I'm not sure how this would ever pertain to Kendrick, as he never raps about shit like this, and there's no documented proof that he has ever been to Ibiza. Not only that, Ibiza is known as the party capital of Europe, which doesn't really seem to be a place that fits into his lifestyle. When we look at how Kendrick
that's 100% facts. That is where they party.
Structured and set up this first verse, it only makes sense from Drake's perspective, as he was in Ibiza on that exact same yacht. And Drake has referenced Ibiza in his music many, many times.
Grab by Lisa, bring her to Ibiza. Appealing Ibiza, so what? She took dick in Ibiza. We went to Ibiza.
And this whole infatuation with Ibiza, for Drake, this is new. He never talked about it before in his music. It's only these recent years where he's been bringing it up a lot. It's almost like Ibiza has become Drake's new favorite hub. And if you listen to how Kendrick enunciates this line, that's exactly what he says.
That's your hub in Ibiza, your hub in Ibiza.
And I don't know why Drake loves Ibiza so much, but maybe Kendrick does. And again, in very recent times, Drake referenced a tatted passport in his music.
My visa, passport tatted.
I tatted your passport up.
So this all ties and flows perfectly together in reference to Drake and how he lives his life. And given the fact that Kendrick rapped from Drake's perspective on Buried Alive, and this track is called 616 in LA, which was the date that they first met and the concept of that record, Kendrick is doing the same here. And the concept of the Buried Alive track is just as important for Family Matters, which we are doing next.
Luke Callie's dwellings in Brooklyn just to book me some pizza.
Kendrick continues to replicate the subject matter that Drake showcases on these timestamp records. If you heard Drake say a line like this straight from his mouth, you wouldn't second guess it, as it fits perfectly into the style of his pen.
Eating like I'm seated at Swiss Soto and Yosos. Catering is from Giorgio Bardi, Robin's favorite.
He nailed it. It is bang on how Drake raps on these tracks. Bang on.
Luke Cali's dwellings in Brooklyn just to book me some pizza.
It's just the way he enunciates shit is very cryptic. Like, he doesn't even say pizza. He says pizza.
Just to book me some pizza.
And book me some pizza is weird too. Like, there's shit in here that Drake is only gonna get. And on Euphoria, remember, Kendrick said that he hates the way that Drake sneak disses people.
I hate the way that you sneak this. If I catch flight, it's gonna be direct.
And what Kendrick means by that is Drake will diss someone and only his intended target will pick up on it. And due to the fact that Kendrick is mirroring his style and writing from Drake's perspective on a timestamp titled record, this first verse is riddled with shots at Drake that only he understands. And that's why the beginning of the...
That's a masterclass right there. That's a masterclass. That right there, man, is exactly why Kendrick is where he's at. Because that's crazy.
This record doesn't even sound like a diss because he's writing in the style of Drake. There's no clear shots to us, but he's dissing Drake the way that Drake disses. And because Drake has been at this pizzeria in Brooklyn before, this is just another clue that Kendrick has given us that he's writing this verse from Drake's perspective.
God, my confession is yours.
And now we get to the point where I feel Kendrick does indeed switch perspectives back to himself, as it's at this moment where he starts to sing. And when you think about Drake's timestamp records, he doesn't really sing on those tracks at all.
God, my confession is yours.
Now, I saw that people tried to paint this line as if Kendrick was conflicted on whether or not he should go to war with Drake, but honestly, Kendrick has wanted this battle with Drake for a very long time.
But who am I if I don't go to war?
I don't think he's conflicted about the war itself, but he knows where he's about to go with this thing, and he's more or less confessing to God before he even puts his plan into action. Kendrick knows he's about to go on attack, likely committing multiple sins, which will need forgiveness from God. If you pay attention to the way he delivers these lyrics, he's deliberately singing in a very ugly, offbeat, non-sonically pleasing way.
God, my confession.
This singing style reflects Kendrick's internal chaos. He's holding some guilt as a dark side of him is about to emerge. It's like he's saying, like, I'm sorry, God, like, ahead of time, I'm sorry, but I gotta do this.
There's opportunity when living.
That's true. That's true. I do believe that Kendrick, because when I first heard 616 in LA, I could kind of feel that he was saying, look, I'm about to really do something bad, and I just want you to know, but I have to do this. I have to, because if I don't, I won't be looked at as a man.
I discover myself would not fall short.
Some people thought that this meant Kendrick was worried about losing to Drake, and if he did, he learned something from it. But I don't think Kendrick even considered the possibility of losing this battle. I mean, let's be real here. He had this whole thing mapped out. I believe even at this point, he knew he had a winning strategy. Like, he knew he was going to win this thing. I feel that Kendrick knows that he's about to unleash a beast that we haven't seen before, and he's hinting at an internal struggle. When you think about it, Kendrick doesn't have any music in his catalog that resembles the subject matter on these diss tracks. I think the loss that he's talking about is he's about to lose control of himself, right? He's about to go against everything he stands for, like his faith. However, being a man of God, he knows that the Lord will forgive him, and he knows that going through with this thing will offer an opportunity for even more growth.
Raise my hands to a fallen sky. I fantasize me jumping planets, immortalized. I correspond.
So A Fallen Sky is basically an aftermath of a disaster, and it's here where Kendrick is daydreaming about the results of the war. He dreams of jumping planets and becoming immortalized as he's fantasizing about how a victory over Drake would cement his name in the hip-hop history books. And Kendrick's a rapper's rapper. Like, he's a hip-hop guy. And a lot of our legends had beefs, right? So I'm sure he's thought about adding the beef to his resume. He had to. These thoughts are so strong for Kendrick that they overpower his own faith, and it's here where he really decides that he needs to go through with it. He truly confirms this when he says, I correspond, meaning he needs to fulfill this fantasy. So I feel like he's daydreaming about like destroying Drake and getting him out of here and how that'll feel. And then he snaps out of it and he says to himself, I got to do this. I got to go through with it. I correspond.
3 angels watching me all the time.
Kendrick claims that he has 3 angels watching him. And for anyone who's familiar with Christianity, you will be well aware of Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael. These are the 3 main angels chosen by God, and each angel represents something different. Given the fact that Kendrick knows he's about to embark on a journey that's testing his faith, he knows that these 3 angels are with him for guidance on the mission. And guys, he pretty much confirms this by bringing up some of these angels later on in the track. Outside of this biblical reference, in 2013, Kendrick lost 3 of his close friends, Chad, Pup, and Braze. He mentions these guys on multiple songs, but on a YG record, he makes reference to all 3 of them. From what I could gather, he was really close with all 3 of these young men, so it's very possible that the 3 angels is with him is these guys too.
Put my children to sleep with a prayer, then close my eyes. Definition of peace.
So coming off his Euphoria disc, Kendrick painted Drake as a deadbeat dad.
That's whole shit. I got a son to raise, but I can see you don't know nothing about that.
Kendrick states that Drake is not instilling the same family values as he is, and in this line, he confirms that putting his kids to sleep with a prayer gives them 100% peace. This is all he seems to need. With Drake's kid...
Yeah, I always thought that too. Like, that's pretty deep that Kendrick basically using his kids. I know Drake said you brought the kids into it, but I don't think it was like that. I think Kendrick was basically talking about Drake. He wasn't talking about him. You know what I'm saying? So.
It is almost like he wants them to be just as famous as he is, like almost like the Kardashians' kids or something, right? Where he's all up in the interviews, he's in the music videos, he's all over social media. Whereas Kendrick, you know, you're hard pressed to find even a photo of his kids. It's just 2 different parenting styles, we could say at a minimum.
Tell me who gon' stop me. I come from love.
Kendrick makes a reference to himself as he moves with love, strong morals, and integrity, and by living this way, he feels unstoppable. In contrast, as we heard on Euphoria, he doesn't feel like Drake has the same values at all. So, in Kendrick's mind, this is like a battle of good versus evil.
Still, cover my heart, then open me up.
So, Kendrick refers to someone by the name of Estelle. Now, it's not 100% confirmed, but this appears to be his grandmother, and when claiming that she covers his heart, he's alluding to her offering him protection. And I really tried to confirm who she is in relation to Kendrick. I went through his family tree, or I tried to. Very private. Like Drake's family tree, you can trace back to the 1800s, but Kendrick's is on lock and key. Like there's nothing there. But when it comes to Estelle, he's mentioned her before.
Heartbroken when Estelle didn't say goodbye.
There's also the fact that during Coachella, he had her name on his custom boots, where it clearly reads Estelle Oliver. Estelle Oliver on his mother's side. So I believe this is his grandmother.
Remember when picked up a pen, lyrics that I can trust, timid soul, staring in the mirror, asking where I was from.
Kendrick appears to be reminiscing on a simpler time. When he first picked up the pen, he didn't have much to prove, but it also seems like he didn't have a lot of confidence. It's suggested in the previous line that Estelle helped open him up, possibly helping him come out of his shell. And by all accounts, he was a very shy child, which really isn't that uncommon for these artsy type of kids. Like, they tend to be more withdrawn, right? And Kendrick himself once shared a story of just how shy he was. There was a math question that I knew the answer to, but I was too scared to say it. And then this little chick said the answer, and it was the right answer, my answer. That bothers me still to this day, being scared of failure. And from his past lyrics, we know that his grandmother had a huge impact on the entire family.
Ever since grandma died, everyone parted ways, argue on holidays.
He even said that all those Grammys that he won, when he won all those in a row, he said those are all at her house.
My 7 trophies is at my granny's in heaven's arms.
And he did say when she passed away, he was heartbroken.
Grandma said I get some Jordans for my grades. That's my baby. When she died, my heart broke 100 ways.
So when he was younger, it seems clear that this woman had a huge impact on his life.
I know this type of power is gonna cost, but I live in circadian rhythms of a shooting star.
Kendrick recognizes that he's asking a lot from the Lord while on this journey. Earlier in the verse, we heard him dream about becoming immortalized. He understands that the type of power that God has blessed him with comes with a cost. And to me, this first part of the verse here has a lot of references to God and religion. And in terms of Christianity, a shooting star means that God is with you, he's guiding you. Now, as far as the circadian rhythm line, let's look at this piece by piece. A circadian rhythm is the internal process in the human body that regulates when you sleep and when you wake up, and it's all linked to the Earth's rotation. Now, a shooting star is a streak of light in the sky caused by a meteoroid burning up as it enters into the Earth's atmosphere. It's very fast, but a brilliant phenomenon.
I don't know who needed to hear this, but you've been losing money every time you release music. I've been in the music.
By combining these ideas, Kendrick could be suggesting that, like a shooting star, his life or moments in his life are intense but fast. Plenty of meteoroids remain in space, and only some are destined to enter the Earth's atmosphere and become shooting stars. Kendrick doesn't want to be another rock floating through space. He wants to make a lasting impact with his art, but he recognizes that he has a limited time on Earth to make this happen. He lives by his own rhythm, one that is unique compared to the typical predictable cycles most people experience. The life that he lives has intense, brilliant moments that stand out against the regular circadian rhythm. Coming off his previous line, this likely reflects his own impact on culture, where his presence is powerful and influential.
The mannerisms of Raphael, I can heal and give you art.
Coming off the last line, Kendrick dishes out a triple entendre. Firstly, he refers to Raphael Urbino, a famous Italian artist who is ironically one of the big three artists that is responsible for curating a style of European art called Mannerism. Secondly, Kendrick is talking about Raphael the Angel, which was one of the three angels that was referenced earlier, and Raphael is known for being a protector and healer. Lastly, Kendrick pulls qualities from both Raphaels by 1, providing people with genuine art, in this case music, and 2, his music acts as therapy for a lot of people and helps to heal them. And of course, last but not least, and this one went over everyone's heads, Raphael the Ninja Turtle. I'm fucking with you guys, I made that one up. He's just my favorite turtle, so I took the opportunity to get him in there.
Well, Raphael is based, I think all the Ninja Turtles are based on artists too. So, even though you may have joked about it, you might have had a point.
Where did they come up with this stuff? But the industry's cooked as I pick the carcass apart.
So I look at this line very different from everyone else, and I'm not saying I'm right, but just hear me out. Kendrick says that the industry is cooked, and what I think he means by this is that the industry is a facade. Record labels are cooking the books and inflating the numbers. These labels are desperate and will do anything to give the illusion that their product is in high demand. By picking the carcass apart, I feel Kendrick is alluding to exposing even more industry secrets, as we heard exactly how he felt about it on Euphoria.
And fuck the industry too.
And I think what I'm saying makes even more sense on the next line.
Yeah, somebody's lying, I can see the vibes on act. Even he looking compromised, let's peel the layers back.
So many people have accused academics of being on Drake's payroll and being on the record label's payroll. Now, it's no secret that record labels have been working with influencers, podcasters, streamers, and TikTok dancers to help with sales. However, it's even beyond sales because some of these guys like Aiden Ross and Kai Cenat seriously have the power to shape how an artist is perceived. Drake is UMG's golden boy, and I feel like Kendrick is insinuating that much like how they cook the books for their artist, the industry is crooked and manipulative, and they'll throw as many resources at this thing as possible to protect Drake's name.
Let's peel the layers back.
It's here where Kendrick appears to be threatening to expose more of these secrets as he plans to peel the layers back, which is something that Pusha said to Drake during their beef.
We just gonna peel it back layer by layer.
Now, I've been watching Academics from the very beginning, and he's a well-documented Drake super fan. I think he just loves Drake.
That's true. He definitely is. That's true. He definitely is. Definitely.
It's his favorite artist. I don't think he's paid off or anything. I just think he's a massive Drake fan.
Ain't no brownie points with beating your chest, harassing ant. Fucking with good people, make good people go to bed.
Kendrick makes reference to Drake's trolling antics from earlier on in the beef. Shortly after dropping the Push-Ups track, Drake decided to antagonize Kendrick's manager Ant by posting 2 pictures. Kendrick continues to paint Drake as the bad guy and bully in the situation by insinuating that Drake is picking easy targets. Ant is not a rapper and isn't known for causing issues with anyone, and because Kendrick is close with Ant, he's a good person to defend him. And remember on Euphoria, Kendrick said that he would inherit the beef for Pharrell, who, by all accounts, I believe is a pretty good dude.
Conspiracies about Cash Dog, that's not even the leak.
So, coming off the last line about messing with good people, Kendrick references Drake's bullying tactics against The Weeknd's manager Cash. A lot of people thought that Cash could have been the mole that was feeding Kendrick information, but he confirms here that this is not the source of the leak. But I think the line actually works in another way also. Conspiracies about Cash Dog also perfectly ties into Drake's claims about Kendrick and Top Dog, where Drake stated on Push-Ups that the label was extorting Kendrick and taking 50% of the profit.
Find the jewels like Cash Dog, I just need you to think.
Kendrick really starts to play with Drake's head as he's asking Drake to think a little bit harder about who the mole could be. He makes a reference to Cash Doll, who was once robbed for $500,000 in jewelry. It would make a lot more sense if we could find out that it was someone close to Cash Doll that took this jewelry, but in order to do that, someone would need to watch all of her interviews.
It was around the time I lost a whole jewelry box full of jewelry in LA.
Yeah, nobody's doing that. Nobody's doing that. Yeah, this is deep, man. This is a really, really good breakdown. This is deep.
Somebody stole it from me.
Oh, I remember that. You went right. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, and
we'll
it
talk
hurt.
about that.
It hurted my. It hurt. It hurted.
Because you didn't
hurted
lose
so
it,
bad.
somebody took it.
Yeah, somebody
stole it. So that's somebody you trusted.
Yeah.
But it's not just about the items too, right? It's also about the people that you have around you, because that's also a warning call.
So Kendrick is...
Side note, I was going to say something about that show, but forget it.
Clearly been paying attention, and the fact that it was someone inner circle that had a hand in taking his jewelry, this line just gained even more depth.
Find the jewels like Cash Dog, I just need you to think.
Tough line, man. You gotta say, it is. Now, I don't want to feed too much into this Ebony Prince character from Twitter, but it is definitely interesting given the fact that he posted a bunch of jewelry and proof of receipts of alleged jewelry that Drake purchased. So, I mean, this could very well be in reference to all that. No one can confirm. It's all really weird.
Are you finally ready to play? Have you ever? Let's see.
Kendrick continues to turn up the heat and references his lyrics from Euphoria.
Have you ever played? Have you ever? Okay, nigga, let's play.
Now he really starts to mess with Drake's head.
Have you ever thought that OVO is working for me?
Kendrick cleverly attempts to make Drake question all those around him by suggesting that someone close to him is not really on his side.
Fake bully, I hate bullies. You must be a terrible person. Everyone inside your team is whispering that you deserve it.
So pretty self-explanatory. Kendrick continues to paint Drake as the bad guy and implies that even his own team are preying on his downfall, claiming that he deserves everything that's coming.
Can't Tootsie slide about it. This one is just gonna be...
Yeah, I kind of believe that, though. I kind of believe that.
Kendrick references Drake's #1 smash, Tootsie Slide. This was a track that had everyone dancing during the summer of 2020, which is something that Drake is really good at doing.
Left foot up, right foot slide.
Now, Tootsie Slide conveniently dropped just 3 months after a video surfaced of Drake, where he's kissing a 17-year-old girl on stage. The clip took the internet by storm as Drake already had a past that raised a lot of eyebrows, and it was just 5 months before that where Drake paid $350K to a SA case, which was something that Kendrick referenced on Euphoria.
Have you ever paid $500,000 like to an open case?
These were big stories at the time. Like, a lot of people talked about this shit. It was not a good look for Drake, so he drops this massive hit. And of course, that helps deaden the noise, right? However, when it comes to this beef, Kendrick seems to be saying that even if Drake pumps out another big hit, the damage that he's about to inflict in this war will never be forgotten. No matter what Drake says or does, he's not going to get away from what Kendrick's about to do. I mean, this is probably true. Not Like Us was a #1 record. Look what he was saying on there. Like, Drake couldn't even get away from the Ghostwriter shit. Like, this new stuff's pretty heavy. Like, it's gonna be hard to shake.
It was fun until you start to put money in the streets. They lost money because they came back with no receipts.
Kendrick insinuates that Drake is paying people to find dirt on him. Now, Kendrick, who lives a very low-key and private life, claims that Drake wasted his money since there's no dirt to be found. And it's also clever because, you know, you can't get your money back from a store without the receipt.
I'm sorry that I live a boring life. I love peace, but war ready if the world is ready to see him bleed.
Kendrick claims that the world is ready to see him take Drake's head off, and when we think about this beef, it seems like this was really the case. Kanye even said that all the rappers were excited to eliminate Drake, and everyone from the casual hip-hop fan to people that didn't even listen to the genre were chiming in to tear Drake down. I mean, it was at the point where people were hating on Drake and they didn't even know why. Like, they'd be like, I'm a fucking metalhead, but fuck Drake.
The Elohim KTW.
So the word Elohim can actually be found in the scripture of multiple religions. In Christianity, it can be found in the Old Testament, and in Judaism, it's used in the Hebrew Bible. However, in both religions, it's recognized as a word for God. Kendrick could be using this here as a word of common ground between the two religions to state that regardless of the faith, he is the God. And in the exact same context, he uses this word on Family Ties, which is a record that I always thought was full of shots at Drake.
The Elohim, the rebirth. Before you get to the Father, you gotta holler at me first, bitch.
Now, the KTW thing is cryptic as it gets. Like, I cannot figure it out. I look for days and days. None of the theories that I saw make sense to me. I think it's something that only Drake is going to understand. But if one of you guys know, or you think you know, leave it in the comments. It drove me crazy.
No, you can't sleep. These images trouble you. Know the wires in your circle should puzzle you.
Kendrick continues with the mental gymnastics. He paints Drake as someone that is tossing and turning to figure out who the mole could be in his camp. He does this by referencing a wire in his circle, which is something that rats will wear when gathering information for the feds. And this is going over all of our heads because clearly the line is layered. There's something there. It's very eerie. It's very cryptic. There's something we're missing.
If you were street smart, then you would have caught that your entourage is only to hustle you.
Kendrick comes in with a bit of a cultural reference here. Drake isn't from the streets, but over the years has surrounded himself with street people. It's not uncommon in hip-hop for a rapper to have an entourage of people who are only around for their own benefit. So Kendrick's saying, like, Drake is so ignorant that he believes that these guys really like him when they're just using him, and Kendrick's a little wiser to it. Like, he's seen this play before.
100 niggas that you got on salary, and 20 of them want you as a casualty.
Kendrick makes reference to the people on Drake's payroll. Now, this could be a reference to anything from the people that signed to his label, the team of writers that he's employed.
At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot.
Streamers like Aiden Ross or Kai, his Mob Ties connection with Jay Prince, or any of the other street connections that he may have established over the years. And he's saying 20% of these guys want you out of here. They want you gone.
And one of them is actually next to you, and two of them is practically tired of your lifestyle, just don't got the audacity to tell you, but...
Now, I'll be honest, guys. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know who Kendrick's talking about here. Is it 21 Savage? Is it 40? Is it Yachty? Is it Chubbs? Who really knows? It does seem very specific, and Kendrick says this with such conviction, but at the same time, this could also just be a war tactic to get inside Drake's head even further to make him question absolutely anyone that's close to him. It's a crazy angle, but no one knows for sure who he's talking about.
Let me tell you some game, cause I can see you, my little homie. You playing dirty with propaganda, hit blow up on you.
Coming off the last line where Kendrick claimed that people close to Drake don't have the heart to tell him the truth. Kendrick claims that he's about to give some advice to Drake as he can see through his dirty propaganda and suggests that it's going to blow up in his face. This could be in reference to the narratives that Drake has been planting about his failed relationship with Whitney, the 50-50 split rumors with TDE, using streamers like Aiden and Kai to help with public perception, or cooking the numbers.
You're playing nerdy with Zach Bia and Twitter bots.
So remember what I mentioned earlier about Kendrick's thoughts on the music industry when it comes to cooking the numbers. Popular influencer Zach Bia hosted an online DJ segment on his Instagram during COVID-19. The show garnered a huge amount of traffic, and he even premiered Drake's hit Tootsie Slide.
It's about to be the hottest song in the world. Song of the summer.
No sequence.
What Kendrick is trying to get across here is that Drake uses every resource imaginable to manipulate the masses. He drives this home even more with the reference to Drake using Twitter bots during the beef, which is something else that he was accused of doing.
But your reality can't hide behind Wi-Fi.
Kendrick claims that what he's about to reveal about Drake will be so extreme that all his old tactics won't work anymore. This ties perfectly into what he said earlier about not being able to Tootsie Slide his...
I definitely do. It definitely goes back to not being able to Tootsie Slide his way out of this one. He's saying, I get what he's saying. This is great.
...way out of the situation by using someone like Zach Bia for internet games.
Your little means is losing steam. They figured you out.
Kendrick claims that Drake's Instagram memes and the trolling that he was doing is losing steam, which is 100% correct. In hindsight, all the childish bullshit that Drake was doing online only made him look even more ridiculous when this beef came to a close. It really annoys me because when Drake went against Meek, he was quiet. He let the music talk. And now in this beef, he acted like Meek. He had the Twitter fingers. He was doing all these memes, and it just made him look ridiculous.
The first opinions is not convincing. I need a new route.
So again, back to the streamers, influencers, podcasters, and media personalities. Many said that UMG and Drake were paying these people off, forcing opinions. It's a little bit ridiculous. I mean, even people were saying that I was paid off by Drake. Tons of people. It's like if anyone says anything good about him, they're on some sort of payroll. Like maybe he's doing some things right. Maybe some people agree with him. You know what I mean?
It's time that you look around on who's around you. Before you figure that you're not alone, ask what Mike would do.
So in the first line, Kendrick is advising Drake to take a good look at his team, assess the situation, and start questioning who's really loyal here. He then suggests that Drake is not alone with his OVO team, meaning that someone from outside is always present. I mean, this whole planting seeds of doubt in Drake's brain about his crew is like a huge angle in the latter part of this record. To end things off, Kendrick tells Drake to think about what Mike would do, which is definitely a reference to Michael Jackson, as he also quotes his song, You're Not Alone. What's even more interesting is the fact that R. Kelly wrote this record for MJ, and we all know about R. Kelly and what he was into. Another MJ flip, and again, this one is fire. Finally, we also got to consider that MJ's personal doctor, someone who he was obviously close with, was proven guilty in court of killing MJ with a cocktail of medications. So again, Drake needs to be careful of who's around him because they might just be responsible for his downfall. And I got to be honest with you guys, this record was extremely difficult to break down. It is very cryptic. The way that it's written is mind-boggling. I know I missed a lot of shit because I know there's a lot of stuff in here that Drake is only going to get and no one else will. But in saying that, we got Family Matters coming up next. And that's an amazing record, and I feel like it got overshadowed. I feel like a lot of stuff got missed, and I'm really, really excited to break down Family Matters.
And that guy, What's the Dirt on YouTube? Yeah. I watched a bunch of his videos.
Oh,
He's dope.
Being on YouTube and watching What's the Dirt.
Yeah, man. So go follow that dude, man. What's the Dirt? Yeah, this was amazing, man. I'm not even gonna sit here and lie, man. He had my crown ruffling. This was amazing. That breakdown was dope, man. I really appreciate that, man. Makes me start to dig a little deeper with these breakdowns. But not too much to say. Anyway, like, share, subscribe, man. Thank y'all for watching. Really appreciate y'all. See y'all. Peace. Bye.